Hi, it's John here at Primal Woods. I'm about to accessorize my chainsaw mill, and before I do that I'll just walk you briefly through the components of the mill, and then I'll get into the accessory that I'm going to add. So starting out here at the far end, this is the so-called helper handle. As the name implies, a helper will help to move this end of the bar through the log. There's also a pulley in here that the chain goes around, and a chain tensioner to supplement the range of the tensioner in the power head. So it's a long chain, 153 drive lengths. It's a 56-inch bar, and the chain stretches quite a bit, especially when new. So this additional tensioner helps with that. The bar is a Cannon sawmiller. As I said, 56-inch bar. It's actually set up for 2 power heads. Certainly if I went any longer than 56 inches, I would add a second power head. I believe that that power would be necessary. Chain, as I said, it's 153 drive link ripping chain from Woodland Pro. This is so-called auxiliary oiler. So this is just filled up with bar and chain oil. There's a valve here, on-off, runs down to a nut that has a hole in it, which goes through the bar, and by gravity it basically provides lubrication to the far end of the bar. This is the so-called Grandberg Mark III Alaskan milling attachment, and basically you have a couple of rails here that ride on a flat surface of the log or on some rails you've attached to provide a flat surface for the first cut. I've got this set for 12-inch depth right now. I'm making that first cut on a large silver maple log at one end where it branches out. It's over 40 inches, just over 40 inches. Getting back here, this is, by the way, clamped to the bar, just simply clamped to the bar, so it can come off and be reassembled fairly readily in the case of, say, needing to sharpen a chainsaw blade or replacing a blade, etc. Okay, finally we come to the power head. It's a Husqvarna 3120 XP. It's the biggest power head Husqvarna makes. This is about 8.3 horsepower. So I've likened this to holding your 9-horse trolling motor off the back of your boat and trying to control that while you're trolling. This is difficult to control. It takes a lot of effort without the accessory I'm about to add to move this through the log, both for the helper and for myself. So what is the accessory? Well, the accessory is I'm going to add some mechanical advantage to help me move the mill smoothly through the log. And I have a few pieces here. I'll go through them one by one. So the first piece is the winch. It's a 600-pound winch. I'm sure I don't need that much, but it's all I could find locally. These are basically trailer winches as you would find on a boat trailer to bring the boat up. And they had 2 places I checked. They had 600-pound and 1,200-pound winches. So I got the smallest one I could. So this will mount on this rear rail with the handle in the upward position. To mount it on this rail, there is a groove in the rail that the head of this bolt will need to fit into, and then it will be captured and it won't come loose. The height of that groove is only 3/16 of an inch. Also, I've got some additional material, so the original bolt is not long enough to span that distance. That's 4 inches, so I bought a 5/8 or a 3/8 bolt with a 5-inch length and a nylock nut for the top. Now chances are I'll have a few threads hanging out of this when I'm fully assembled. Also, I'll have to take this head down with a grinder to get it to fit into this rail. Next up is nylon rope. I won't use wire rope, don't need it. Probably not more than 150, couple hundred pounds of force on this maximum. This will be on the spool of the winch. The direction of travel is towards you, so the log would be in front of me. This will run out to the end of the log and then come back and attach again to the mill. Nylon rope. So how do I anchor it in the end of the log? I was looking around for hardware and I found this so-called cold shut. Basically this is intended to be squeezed shut. An attachment for wire, rope, chain, etc. The important thing is that means it's malleable, it's not case hardened, it means I can cut it. So I'm going to cut this off and sharpen a point on it, and then this cold shut will anchor in the end of the log. What will it anchor? It will anchor this pulley. So I got this pulley. The 1/4 inch polypropylene will run through this pulley at the end of the log and come back to the mill. To attach it to the mill on the return trip, I have this carabiner. So the carabiner will go over the rail, and depending on the width or diameter of the log, I can attach it in different points and it won't slip inward. This is going to allow for an even tension on the mill to move the mill through the log. Having the winch mounted here means that I can operate the controls on the power head and winch at the same time. So with that, I'm pretty excited about getting this set up. Total cost of everything to accessorize the mill was $45 at Menards out the door with tax. So it's not too expensive. Again, if I could have found a smaller winch, I could have probably cut that cost down even more. Thank you for watching.
The tools I used are common to most sawyers. A chainsaw tool in 2 sizes, a lighter for melting the ends of the rope, an adjustable wrench, a 7/32 inch round file for use in chainsaw sharpening, a flat file for use in setting raker height on chainsaw chains, and a Swiss Army knife. The top channel in the thickness rail at the upper right is 3/16 of an inch high and 3/4 of an inch wide. The bolt, which acts as the shaft for the winch spool, must have the head thinned to less than 3/16 of an inch. This is Joe at Landers Hardware in Bangor, Michigan, taking down the head of the bolt that forms the spool shaft on a lathe. Advantages of this approach are it's more accurate and it creates less heat, which might weaken the bolt. The turning is almost completed at this stage. To get the 3/8 inch bolt to fit in the thickness rail, I had to remove some material from just below the head. I used the round file from the tools I displayed to do this. Next step is to loosen the screws securing the handle in the end brackets. Moving the handle out of the end bracket and removing the 2 nuts securing the end bracket to the thickness rails will allow the thickness rail to drop. At this point, the spool shaft bolt head can be slid into the thickness rail channel. The next step is to slide the winch over the spool shaft. Then reattach the thickness rails to the end brackets. Secure the spool shaft bolt using 2 3/8 inch flat washers on a nylock nut and attach the handle to the winch. I needed to remove the gate from the carabiner to make it fit over the thickness rail. I used the flat file to remove the flattened end of the rivet, allowing for removal of the gate. The carabiner now fits over the thickness rail. The next steps are to reinstall and secure the handle in the end brackets and to secure the end brackets to the thickness rails. At this point, the winch is attached and the milling attachment has been reassembled. All that's left to do is to wind rope onto the spool, out through the pulley, and attach it to the carabiner. Now the Alaskan chainsaw mill with the winch attached are ready for a test run. Thank you for watching.